Good morning, everyone. It's Robert from On My Turntable. Hope you're having a great morning this morning. It is Saturday morning. As always, a coffee kind of morning. I want to continue my A to Z's through my collection. This time the letter D. And hopefully I should get through it in one sitting. I may not. I'll have to see how far I go here. But before we get into it, please hit the like and subscribe button below. Thank you to all that have liked and subscribed so far. I greatly appreciate it. I want to continue to put great content out there to be informative and to show you guys some great bands and artists that I have in my collection. And it's because of you guys, your likes, your subscriptions, your wonderful comments that keep me going and keep me encouraged to do these videos. And I really, really appreciate it. Love you all. So I was going to leave this band to the last, but I think I'll start off with them because they're my favorite band. And no, it's not the Beatles because this is the letter D. But it is, I don't want to say my second favorite. I think the two are right up the top. So Beatles are in their own category, all on their own. These guys are my favorite because they were the first. My first album was not their first album, but my first album. My introduction to the band was one of their famous albums, and I've loved them ever since. And I still missing some of their collection. I still have to add that, and it's on my list. And my list is growing. My list is growing. But let's get started. So their very first album. This is Deep Purple and Shades of Deep Purple. This is the Mark I version of the band. There will be 4 different versions of this band, or 5. I lost track. There's players coming and going. And it's on the Polydor label. This is a fantastic album. A lot of covers, but great 60s psychedelic synth and progressive with some great rock. It starts off with the song And the Address. And I'll talk about And the Address at the end of Deep Purple because it all ties in together. And then you got the great cover of Hush, One More Rainy Day, Prelude, Happenings, I'm So Glad, Mandrake Root, and then they do a version of Help, the Beatles, Love Help Me, and they do a version of Hey Joe as well. So you've got Rod Evans as the lead singer and Nick Simper as the bassist. That's the Mark I version. And then you still have John Lord on the keyboards, Richie Blackmore, of course, on guitars, and Ian Pace on drums. Ian Pace is the only surviving member of the band that hasn't changed from the beginning. Everyone else is come and gone. It's on the Polydor label. And everything I'm talking about Deep Purple is on the top of my head. I didn't write anything down, so if I make a mistake, so sorry. Next is their second album with the same lineup. You got Book of Telesign. It's a fantastic album as well on the same Polydor label. And this is another great one. Still that psychedelic, progressive rock style album. There's Rod Evans there and Nick Simper. Yeah, you've got Kentucky Woman. They do a great version of a Kentucky Woman on this one. We Can Work It Out. They do another Beatles cover. Listen, Learn, and Read On. Hard Road, Exposition, The Shield, Anthem, and River Deep Mountain High by Ronnie Spector. It's a great album. So they were, I wouldn't call them a cover band at the time, but they did a lot of covers. Rod Evans was a great vocalist. He just doesn't have the range of Ian Gillan. Their third album is really, really good. But more experimental, definitely more psychedelic, progressive again. But yeah, it's so good, so good. So Richie Blackmore wanted a heavier, harder sound. So behind Rod Evans and Nick Simper's back, he found Ian Gillan, the great vocalist, and Roger Glover, the amazing bassist, to give him that heavier, deeper sound and higher vocal range. The more that um, those hard rock bands of the 70s were using. And Nick Simper and Rod Evans pretty much out without them even realizing that they were out. And the new group Mark II version put together this opus of an album in rock. This is a much heavier sound than the previous three albums, and made them known as the grandfathers of hard rock and heavy rock. Um, you've got Speed King, Bloodsucker, Child in Time, the amazing Child in Time, Flight of the Rat, Into the Fire, Living Wreck, and Hard Lovin' Man. I mean, this is in your face hard rock. Quite a different change from the previous three albums. And then they put out Fireball. This is the anniversary edition. I think the 40th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken. 25th, I apologize, 25th anniversary. So this is the cover of that with the, again, the new lineup, the Mark II lineup. And then this was the original cover. But this sounds great. This has some bonus tracks on it. But you've got Fireball, No No No, Demon's Eyes, Anyone's Daughter, The Mule, No One Came, Strange Kind of Woman. Great, great stuff. I'm Alone. And then you get a remix of Demon's Eyes, some instrumentals on Fireball, and No One Came, a remix as well. But yeah, good stuff. Then you have my favorite album, my introduction to the band. This was my first album ever that I bought, way, way back when I was much younger. This is, and will remain my favorite album. This is Machine Head. This is their most commercially successful album. You got Smoke in the Water, you got Highway Star, that which still plays on classic rock radio. You got Lazy, amazing jazzy, bluesy, Lazy. You've got Space Truckin', the heavy Space Truckin'. But the deep tracks on this one are some of my favorite as well. This was based, the Smoke in the Water was based on a true story. Yeah, you got Pictures of Home and Never Before, Maybe I'm a Leo as well. Three deep tracks, which are so cool and so good. So yeah, they were recording in Montrose with Frank Zappa and the Mothers. Frank Zappa and the Mothers were performing, and these guys were trying to put this album together in Montreux, Switzerland. And some idiot with a flare gun came in and burned the place to the ground, just like the song says. So they had to record in a mobile unit, and that's what some of the tight quarters of that mobile unit looked like. This is the anniversary, 25th anniversary of the album, and it's got unused guitar solos on the second side, which sound a lot different than what you're used to, because you've heard this album for years, but it's still pretty cool. But great album. And they put together one of the finest live albums made in Japan. This one's amazing. I love this live album. It's recorded really well. They do a great job. You got Highway Star, Child in Time, A Strange Kind of Woman, Lazy, Smoke in the Water, The Mule, and Space Truckin'. So only 7 songs, but amazing performance. And between Osaka and Tokyo is where they recorded this. So yeah, great live album. Greatest hits. Got all their hits on this one. Who Do We Think We Are? one of the last of the Mark II versions. There was a lot of tension between Richie Blackmore and Ian Gillan. Ian Gillan was out. It's an underrated album. A lot of people don't like this album, but I like it. It's a good album. You got Rat Bat Blues, Place in Line, Our Lady. Um, and Woman from Tokyo was on this one as well. One of my favorite songs. Um, so it's a great album. It's just maybe because of their previous albums that were a little heavier and harder. People don't like this one, but I like it. I like it. So Richie Blackmore's Richie Blackmore. Ian Gillan's out, and Roger Glover's out as well. So along comes the Mark III version of the band. This one has David Coverdale and Glenn Hughes on bass. So two lead vocals now in Glenn Hughes and David Coverdale. You've still got Richie Blackmore on guitar. You've still got John Lord and Ian Pace. But they put out Burn. Great album in its own right. That's the Mark III. And then years pass. Rainbow started. Ian Gillan's band started. Roger Glover played along, and there was some Ian Gillan sang with Black Sabbath at a time. Like it was all over the place. Then they came back for a get together, and with all the original Mark II members, and put together this great album, Perfect Strangers. Awesome stuff. I love this album. It's a different sounding album than the Mark II lineup, which this is the Mark II, but it's easy flowing. It's got a great sound to it. Everyone seemed to be happy at the time, yeah, it's a great album. And then with this little box set here, you've got Slaves and Masters. Great album, Slaves and Masters. And The Battle Rages On. This would be the last with Richie Blackmore in it. He actually left halfway through the release of this album, and Joe Satriani sat in for a bit. And this would also be, I believe, Jolyn Turner singing on this one, if I'm not mistaken. I believe so. Yeah, Jolyn Turner. No, I'm sorry. Jolyn Turner was on this one. I'm getting this backwards. Jolyn Turner was on this one. Underrated album, but good one. So Ian Gillan was back to this one, but Richie Blackmore left. He was just had enough. Him and Ian Gillan were just battling. And then you have Steve Morse on guitar as the Mark IV lineup. And then they put out Perpendicular. And then Steve Morse has been a member of the band for 20-some years, 30-some years. And I'm missing a couple in between, but then there's Infinite. Great album, Infinite. Really love this album. And finally, their latest album is Whoosh. And this comes with a DVD as well. Half of it is showing Roger Glover and the producer talking about the album and each song on the album. And then the other half of the DVD is their concert in France. Remarkable stuff. But as I spoke earlier, this one ends with the last song from their first album. Sorry, this one. So it starts off, and the address. So their very first album has the very first song and the address. Well, the last song on this amazing latest release is "And the Address." They do a great version of it. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means that that's the end of Deep Purple. I don't know if it they're gonna, like, these guys are in their late 70s. Whether they got more in the tank to put another album. It's very relaxed, very easygoing, very cool sounding album. Ian Gillan's never sounded better. Steve Morse is an amazing guitarist. This is just remarkable. This one's got Don Airey on keyboards, as of course John Loder's is no longer with us. Ian Pace is still drumming. Again, the original member from the beginning, still on here. And then you got Roger Glover on bass. Yeah, it's an amazing album. And the DVD is really good as well. So that's my look at Deep Purple. That took up a good chunk of the video, but again, being my favorite band, it's no doubt that it is. So I'll continue on and see how far I get. This may end up being a part 2, but we all know Tom Petty, Tom Petty's band with Mike Campbell. An amazing. Tom Petty's still a huge loss, but Mike Campbell put out an album. This is called The Dirty Knobs. This is a great album. Very great guitarist. It's great rockin' album, and so fine, so good. You've got all kinds of stuff on this one, but yeah, it's a great album. The Dirty Knobs. Great alternative band. One of my favorites. Dream Theater. This is so good. You've got John Pertucci, amazing guitarist. You've got, how do you pronounce his name? Theater. It's Mike Portnoy, the amazing drummer on this one. This is great alternative metal, progressive rock. So good. Not all heavy. There's some easier songs on this one. Yeah, Dream Theater's a great band. Love these guys. This is Awake. Dramatic turn of events. Love Dream Theater. So good. Oh, and this is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite albums by them. This is Images and Words. Really good stuff. So, oh, sorry, I got one more. 6 Degrees of Turbulence by Dream Theater. So we'll go from Dream Theater to The Doors. Amazing first album, The Doors. I won't go through each album because you all know The Doors. I also have this one on CD. I also have a great live version. It's a double album. Morrison Hotel. lose my stuff here. LA Woman. Strange Days. The Soft Parade. And Waiting for the Sun. Another great alternative progressive metal band, hard rock band. You've got the Deftones. This is Around the Fur. I was listening to this morning. Really good. White Pony. Diamond Eyes. From there, I may end this one and go part 2 because I've still got quite a chunk to go. So thanks very much, guys. Love you all. So this is part 1 of the D's. Part 2 I'll do a little later on today. And take care. Love you all. We'll talk to you again soon. Have a great day. Bye now.